Watch your people. It's been a significant amount of time since I made a video. I've had a lot going on. Personal life, business, other stuff. Didn't want to regurgitate what I've already been talking about. Just feel now is the time to start these videos again. So, a lot going on in the world. New narrative has been brought to light. As one door closes, another one opens in terms of the fear-driven narratives. I don't want to talk about the political views of Ukraine or what's going on. All I will say is that Ukraine is quite close to me because I have somebody there that is quite significant to me, to UC. I've taught in Kiev. I've had a nice experience of Ukraine. I've also taught all over Russia and had a nice experience of that. What I will say about it is there's certainly atrocities happening and people are dying and at war, and that's tragic like any war. I will also say that those that are feeding you the information that we're getting on the UK newspapers and the like are the same individuals that have been feeding us fear-based lies for the last 2 years. So I would say use a conservative approach to what you look at and what you listen to, as with everything. If you look at the commonality of this narrative, it's potential World War III, environment's unstable, and that relates to the constant barrage of fear-mongering. It's just gone from pandemic to World War III, next will be economic collapse, then global warming, alien invasion. There's a pattern forming. These people can't create, they just replicate poorly. But regardless, people are suffering in Ukraine, and that is wrong. Harm goes out to them. Like I say, I want to put my views here on that. It's not about that. I just want to mention how current events are obviously prominent, and how we react to what we are fed in terms of script is very important. I spoke before about the importance of not being programmed by this script, instead of being your own programmer. Take from what you hear and see and experience what you will from it. Don't allow it to dictate your existence. Remember, you are the co-creator of your existence. So don't be pushed into a script that makes you constantly fearful. Bottom line is, you can't control what you can't control. You can only control what you can, what's within your power. And what's within your power is how you react to stimuli. You can't change events, but you can change how you react to them. So like I said before, the important thing here now is the development of your vessel, which is allowing you to experience life on all levels. Take care of your physical body, like I've said before. Watch what you feed yourself, physically, internally, what you listen to, what you watch, who you surround yourself with. It's all nourishment for the soul. Be sure to nourish intelligently. People talk about being a light worker, a spiritual person that loves and embraces everything. Well, I think that's a misnomer. If you look in all things in life, there is a balance point. Call it a Holy Trinity, call it what you like. If you use that triangle formation, you've got the polarity extremes and then you've got the neutral point. We need to strive to remain in our neutral point. So, you could say one side is light, the other side is dark. And somewhere in the midpoint embraces the best of both. I honestly think that dark exists in this world for sure, and as does light. But if you are only of one mind or one extreme, if you're dark, you know service to others, only service to self, and that will lead to demise and torture of this soul. If you are light and you are giving to others, that's great. It's nourishment for the soul. But you can also be taken advantage of. You know, if you are all of light and love and good, it's a very hard act to follow. And it will also make you extremely vulnerable, because if you are just of love and light, you have no defense mechanism against the dark. So you need to embrace some of the dark too. You know it exists. In order to coexist around it, you need to know it. I'm not saying that you need to be a bad person or a dark person. I'm saying that you need to embrace both polarities of light and dark and take from them what you need and find a balance point. That's the grey warrior. So what does that mean? That means that I'm a benevolent soul and I love life. I love the people in my life that I care about. I'm grateful every day for what I have. I wake up with self-love and gratitude. So self-love in a sense of loving what I truly am, what I truly come from, the God code that I'm made of. So I'm reading a book at the moment called God Code. God Code is something we've been talking about for a while now in our Soul Dojo Zoom group, which is growing, incidentally. It's just a place where we honestly talk about spirituality, what it means, what does love mean, what do all these things mean that are pushed in the new age spiritual babble, sorting the wheat from the chaff and finding what's really relevant and important. And in terms of nutrition, so God code would be anything organically grown, juicing, the essence of fruits is God code. And when you put it in your body, you can feel what it does for you. Whereas anything man-made and artificial is the opposite to that. So you could call it Christ code and anti-Christ code. Anything synthetic, man-made, is designed to make you sluggish, dull down your spiritual capability, if you like. So eating very clean and nutritiously, hydrating this body with water that's not fucking fluoride based. Listening to music and melodies that are good for the soul, that rest your mind. contemplating on certain questions. Like I said before, you ask in a meditative state, what is infinity? And then spending time between the question and the answer in that quiet void space. That's nourishment for the soul. She can't answer the question, what is infinity, because there was no beginning and no end, therefore it can't be, and yet it is. It's a good place to be. When you ask that question, it's like coordinates to a location. Like I said before, it takes you to that quiet place. Then you might contemplate other questions such as, who am I? What am I? Where am I going? What am I doing here? You don't seek to answer with the physical self that you are, because you're not this identity. This is your character. This is your character self. So Lee Morrison, close quarter combat international instructor, is the character. You have a character self, which is your eye, mind, and your body. Look deeper than that. Your true essence self. When you become in that quiet space, contemplating just nothingness, between asking a question and waiting for the answer, you're still. You realize you are the observer of you. You are the observer of this body and mind. Therefore, something outside of it exists, although it's inside. This to me would be my soul self. And this book that I'm reading, God Code by Greg Braden, talks about how ancient Hebrew and Arabic texts have depicted a sequence of letters that, when they are transferred to numbers as a method to make measurement, they define a particular wording code that is too specific to be random. And that code spells out in every cell of our body, in every cell of everything living, from a blade of grass to a plant to a tree to a rock to a plant to an animal to an insect to anything living and organic, including our brothers and sisters from wherever, have the same code within the DNA that says the same message. And the message is, God is within. God is within you. You are made of God. God meaning creation, the source. Not some long-haired guy with a beard, some staff on the top of a mountain. Not the beliefs that we've been led to believe, but something far greater. Source of creation made us with a loving heart, and I believe that code that is within all of us, once known that we are all of the same thing, we are it, it is us, we are all the same, there could be no divide. And if there was no divide, there would be no petty squabbles. There would be no, you're different to me, I'm different to you. There would be no war. But we have been misled, misguided for a long time by an entity that hijacked God Code and replicated the opposite. An anti-God code, if you like. One that limits us in our potential, that creates divide, that sets us against each other. This is how we've been controlled and conquered. This ends when we all realise the commonality that we share is that we are all made of the same. And we all have the right to live and to be free. If that would become a realization overnight to all, the world would be very different. Like I've said before, I believe that's what the Great Awakening is all about. I believe that there will be this realization. And when it comes, we will revolt, we will stand against what's kept us so small for so long. When you realize what you are, any self-loathing that you've developed will be gone. So imagine you could run an internal dialogue of greatness that tells you are part of everything that is. You are part of everything, an expression, an individual expression of consciousness that's within every living thing. And every one of us is different and unique. That's amazing. If you knew that, you'd realise just how amazing you are, and your internal dialogue will tell you how amazing you are. And I don't mean that in a hot shit sense. I don't mean that this character body, mind and name, is amazing. I don't mean that. I mean the essence me, not the character me. The essence me is fucking phenomenal. As is yours. As are you. We are so much more. We are alchemists. We have the power to be genius. All of us. It's just been dampened. We need to get a realization of what we are. So, find the balance point. Understand that there's always going to be good and there's always going to be dark, evil. And there needs to be a neutral balance point where one keeps the other in check. So, as a grey warrior, you would be a benevolent soul that loves life, cares about the people that you care about, and knows there's evil that would hurt that, and are willing to stand in front of what you love, and if necessary, destroy such evil. Not frightened to implement a use of force against such violence that will fucking eclipse it. The only difference is the reason. I would be willing to fight, kill and die to protect what I love. Because I love it so much, because it's so precious, because it's so important. And I believe I am here as one that is in the minority and awakened to what is and what I am, that's here for that purpose. And the only way to get through this, navigate this dark sea of consciousness, is to embrace your dark side too. Do your shadow work. Identify the things about yourself that you would find less desirable. Look at them. Look at the things in the eye that make you fearful. Because in that place where your shadow work exists is also where your genius exists. It's where the best undiscovered or untapped parts of you are. Those that have been closed off to you, that will be reawakened as we ascend in intelligence, as we gather in consciousness. This is a time of knowing. The veil is being lifted. Look at the world right now. The narratives pushed, the fucking stuff that's being said, the ideas being planted as seeds, it's craziness. has no logic. It's clear to see that this world is being manipulated by psychopaths in power and only allowed to do what they do by the order followers that they control, who are in the way of our rightful utopia. So, where will it go? Well, like I said, I believe it'll get worse before it gets better. But I still believe that there is a time brewing which will be fucking biblical. When we realise what we are and what we come from, and what's been happening for so long, too long, we will rise up. We will fucking make a stand, individually and collectively. And that begins now. That begins with you making the stand for yourself, for your soul. I'm willing to fight to preserve my soul, my essence self, so that I can still be creative and of use and of service in this world. Have a look at your character traits. Are you self-serving? Do you only care about what you do, what you get? No judgment if you're like that. What use is that in this world? Self-serving, me, I, one all that matters. Dog eat dog. That's why we're here. I honestly seek to be of service to others. And I have been through what I do, through my teaching, the vehicle of teaching combative skills, self-preservation skills to many, has taken them to higher levels of self-esteem, allowed them to self-develop and be more in all aspects of their life. Well, that's tithing, that's being of service to others. That's what I believe I'm here for. And anyone that is considered awakened at this time, call it a light worker, call it a spiritual warrior, call it a grey Jedi, call it whatever you want. But those that are benevolent and aware of what's going on and aware of what we are and what should be, have a duty to make that message heard to others and to be of service to others, no matter how much the sheep-like minnows irritate or hold you back. I mean, they are in the way. You've got to find compassion and love as best you can, but it's not always possible. Some people just need a fucking attitude adjustment, and that's where embracing the darker part of yourself comes in. You know, don't worry if you offend the fucking minnows that are just following. They're sheep just about to walk off a cliff. Fuck them. But for those that are on the cusp of realising from deep in their soul that something's not quite right, well, they need our help. They need a compass, a map. I'm not saying that we have the compass and the map, I'm just saying that we are moving in the right direction. If you are embracing yourself as more than this body and mind, if you know that you have an essence, a soul inside of you that is God code, is what made us, is us. We are it. And your whole perspective on your life changes. Your time in this realm is short. And I do believe we go on. And I do believe there's some of us now that are awakened and here to pass on a message, to share an important message before it's too late, before those that are the supposed powers that be destroy soul, destroy consciousness on all levels. All they want is good little slave bots connected to AI, have no ability to think for themselves. They are trying to eradicate free will. We can't allow that. We can't allow that. So I would suggest that you go within and you find that essence part of you. Find that quiet moment where you are simply the observer of self. And you will realise you're not the pilot of this ship after all. Look after yourself. Feed this body. Hydrate this body. God code food. Fluoride free water. Enjoy nature. Spend time with animals. Spend time with those that you love. Be in the moment with them. Contemplate, visualize. If you want a better world for yourself, then be it. Live it. Be an example of it. Visualize what it would be like, as if it's happened already. That's how manifestation happens. That's how the magic occurs, because they told us magic is just fictitious. It's not. Magic is real. Magic is real. If you create something that affects others, other people's lives in a number of ways, for the better, for the positive, so significant change happens, so their self-development enhances and they grow from that. That's a shape shift. That's magic. That's magic. We create magic all the time. The so-called powers that be understand the occult hidden knowledge, and they understand magic, and they understand it for the dark purpose. And they use it all the time. We need to find our own magic to counter it. Food for thought.